Good day, my dear students. You know it's always exciting to see you. Today's lesson, I promise you, is going to be one of the interesting ones we've had so far. Today, we are going to look at dependent and independent clauses. If you could remember, at our previous meeting, we started with clauses and you give beautiful submissions. Today, we're going to shift our focus to the two types of clauses, that is dependent and independent clauses. And I'm sure that at the end of this lesson, you will distinguish between dependent and independent clauses. When we say dependent, what comes to mind? You can discuss that with your friend. Yes, so dependent means something that relies on the other for its full realization or its full meaning. That's great. What about independent? Choose the take patient approach. Yes. So when we say independent, that means one stands on its own, or the thing stands on its own. So when we say a clause is dependent, that means that clause relies on another clause for its full realization or its full meaning. The same way, when we say an independent clause, that means that clause can stand alone to give a complete meaning or thought. Now let's look at some examples. Look at this example on the board. We stayed indoors. Does that make a complete thought? Sure, it does. Because when I say we stay indoors, you get a full meaning. Now let's look at the second one. How happy I am. I say that how happy I am. And this gives a complete meaning. Okay, so these two types of sentences are what we call the independent clauses. Remember, a simple clause can also be a simple sentence. So this type of clause is what we call independent clause because they stand on their own to give a complete thought. Look at this clause. Because it was raining. Is it giving any complete thought? You would go ahead and ask why, because you don't get any meaning. But as soon as you read it together with this, we stayed indoors because it is raining. The full meaning of this is got from the independent clause. So in that case, the dependent clause has to rely on the independent clause to give it full meaning. In the same way, when you have things that you came, is it giving any full meaning? No. But when we add it, I am happy that you came, you will see that you came, which is the dependent clause, is dependent on this one to give its complete meaning. So this is the dependent clause and this is the independent clause. Now let's look at the third example. Although you are tired, does this give any meaning? No. So in that case, this one becomes a dependent clause and has to rely on the independent to give a full meaning. So let's check this. Finish your homework. When I say finish your homework, that makes a complete thought. So this becomes our independent clause. So you realize that although you are tired, finish your homework becomes a complete sentence. So this is an independent clause and this is a dependent clause. Another independent clause, this is a dependent clause. This is dependent clause and this is independent clause. Great. Any questions so far? All right. So I have given you this task. When you go home, go and work on that. So your assigned task is to write two sets of sentences and indicate the dependent and the independent clause. Thank you so much. It's been an interesting lesson and I'm looking forward to seeing you in our next episode. Have a wonderful day.